Welcome to today's lesson, Wine Service. Let's get started. In this lesson, we will cover the 4 parts of wine service, the extra services offered, and additional information to know about wine service at El Carajo. Wine service can easily be the most important part of a customer's experience in a restaurant. Improved and professional wine service can result in returning customers, better customer experiences, and ultimately, better sales and tips. There are 4 important parts of wine service: presentation and confirmation, opening the bottle, pouring a taste, and pouring for the table. We will go into a little more detail on each of these parts. When presenting a bottle of wine to your guest, professionalism is essential. Present the bottle with the label facing the host so that they can see the information of the wine. This leads to the next part, confirmation. Confirmation occurs when the guest accepts the wine as the correct wine ordered. The information on the label, which includes the producer, the vintage, the region, and the country, must match the wine that was ordered by the guest. The guest should acknowledge the wine is correct prior to being opened. The second part of wine service is opening the wine. Once the wine has been confirmed, we can begin opening the wine. Always open the bottle at the table in front of the guests. When opening a regular wine bottle, cut the foil with your wine key, and always remember to slice below the lip of the bottle. This will ensure a clean, even cut and easy removal of the foil. Insert the corkscrew into the center of the cork. Apply gentle but firm pressure to the cork with the tip of the screw. Twist the screw gently into the cork in a clockwise direction. Always make sure that the corkscrew is going in straight to avoid breaking the cork. Continue implanting the screw into the cork until the last loop of the screw goes in. When pulling the cork out, aim the bottle away from the guest just in case the wine spills out. Pull the cork out slowly and carefully to prevent breakage or a loud pop. When opening a champagne or sparkling wine bottle, remove the foil wrap and then remove the cork cage by twisting the loop until loose. Always remember to keep your thumb pressed firmly on the cork, as it is no longer held securely by the cage and can be extremely dangerous. Never aim the bottle at your guest. Cover the cork with a cloth napkin with your hand pressed tightly on the cork and grip the bottle with your dominant hand. Slowly begin turning the bottle back and forth while gripping the cork steady with your hand. Continue turning the bottle until you begin to feel the pressure pushing the cork out. Allow the cork to gently push itself out, releasing as little gas as possible. There should never be a loud pop or wine frothing out of the bottle. Now that we have successfully opened the bottle, it is time to pour the first taste. Locate the host of the party or the guest who ordered the wine. Another option is to ask the group who will be tasting tonight. Pour a small taste for the guest and wait for their approval. Why do we pour a taste before pouring for the group? We do this because we need to determine that the wine has no fault or flaw. If the wine is corked or cooked, we will need to bring a new bottle. The guest will point out any faults with the wine. In the case that the guest does not like the wine, we will need to determine one of 2 things. Does the guest locate a fault in the wine, or do they simply not like it? If there is any confusion as to the wine being faulted, locate your manager for assistance and confirmation of flaws. If the guest simply does not like the wine, we usually do not return the bottle. In this case, also locate your manager for assistance. Now that the guest has approved the first taste, we can begin pouring for the table. Always pour in a clockwise direction, with women first, men second, and the host last. Fill each glass to the fattest part of the glass and twist the bottle after each pour to prevent spilling the wine. Try to measure the proper amount for each glass in order to fill every guest glass. But in the event that you should run out of wine before completely pouring the table, simply ask, "May I bring you another bottle of the same wine?" Here's a helpful hint. 1 bottle of wine will serve 6 people a 4-ounce drink. Finish pouring for the table and leave the bottle on the table before walking away. If the bottle is empty, ask the host if you may remove the empty bottle. Remember that service should always be done quietly. We don't want to disrupt our guests. While the 4 main parts of service are very important, there are a few extra services that can be offered to the guests. These include decanting of the wine and the use of an ice bucket. We'll start with the decanting of the wine. Decanting is the process of pouring a wine from the bottle into a decanter, or a glass vessel or container. This is done to oxygenize the wine and separate out any sediment. There are 3 reasons to decant a wine. The wine is young, meaning 7 years or younger, and requires oxygen. The wine has noticeable sediment. And finally, we decant if the guest requests it. What does oxygenating a wine mean? By allowing oxygen to come in contact with wine, it is reacting with the many chemicals inside the wine and therefore changing the fruit profile. Most young wines need oxygen because they have not had enough time in the bottle to develop their fruit. Older wines can become over-oxygenated because air has been seeping through the cork over the years, causing the fruit notes to activate and the tannins to degrade. Why do we separate out sediment in wine? Firstly, know that sediment is not a bad thing at all. It can develop within the bottle for a number of reasons. It can be a result of the winemaking process, can be purposely unfiltered and unfined, or finally, the wine can be old and can be shedding its youthful characteristics. Wines with a lot of sediment can take on clumps that are the texture of dirt, which is definitely not pleasing to the guest. Aerators can also be used to oxygenate a wine. This should not be used on older wines, but can be used on younger wines of 7 years or less. The final reason we decant is because a guest may desire the effects of decanting on their bottle. If they request it and we perform a proper decanting, we have added an extra element to our service and provided extra care for our guests. Another extra service that we can provide to our guest is the use of an ice bucket. When a guest orders either a white wine or a sparkling wine, always offer an ice bucket. The guest may decline and request that the bottle be left on the table, but most times they will accept your offer. Fill a clean bucket with half ice and half water. The level of ice and water should reach the shoulder or higher of the wine bottle resting inside. Use a cloth napkin over the mouth of the bucket, in addition to another napkin under it on the table. If the table is too small for an ice bucket, set the bucket in the standing bucket holder and set it beside the host, in a location where it won't be knocked over. Now that we have covered wine service and its various parts, let's look at the additional information for you to know regarding the services that we provide. Guests will usually purchase their bottle in-store, or a few times will decide to bring their own bottles from home. Either way, we always include a corkage fee in our final check to our guest. Corkage is always $10 for all regular-sized bottles, regardless of where the wine came from. If the customer purchased their wine in store, they may ask why they have to pay an additional fee to the cost of their bottle purchase. In order to prevent this question, always ask them if they know what we do with our wine list here. If they respond yes, then simply confirm that they already know the value of the corkage fee. If they are confused, or if they respond no, explain our corkage in relation to other restaurants' approach to wine. Most restaurants charge 200 to 300% markup on a bottle of wine. What we do is simply add a $10 corkage to the bottle. By mentioning this prior to opening the bottle, you can avoid dissatisfaction by the guests before the bill arrives. If the customer is not happy, Locate the manager on duty for assistance. So let's quickly recap today's lesson, wine service. There are 4 main parts of wine service: presentation and confirmation that the wine is correct, opening the bottle, pouring the first taste, and pouring for the table. We can offer extra services through our wine service. These include decanting a wine for removal of sediment or introducing oxygen to a young wine. We also decant whenever the guest requests it. And offering an ice bucket with white or sparkling wine. Using proper techniques will ensure that the guest's wine stays at the right temperature throughout their meal. A corkage fee of $10 is applied to all wines being consumed in the restaurant. Explain to the customer that while most restaurants mark up their wines up to 300%, we are able to keep prices low and that this is one of the best values in wine available anywhere. And that is the end of the lesson, wine service. Don't forget to check out the information and resources available on the course site. If you have any questions, you can always ask your teachers. See you in class!